Hi friend, welcome to the live study channel. Today I am going to discuss GitHub interview question and answer. So let's start. My first question is what is Git and why is it used? So there are so many advantages for using the Git. Okay, it's a totally remote repository and also use the local repository, and for the local repository for the developer point of view it's a multiple developer we are connect through the Git. So is a Git is the most popular open source widely used and an example of distributed version of control just form of the DVCs used for handling the development of a small and large project in a more efficient and neat manners, right? And also is and the most suitable when there are multiple people connecting, means there are multiple person working on same as a team, and is used for tracking the project, manage and efficiently support the collaboration of the development process. With the help of versioning system, and the developer can identify who has made what changes and then run test and fix bug if any, then do necessary feature implementation in case of any unforeseen circumstance. The code can be resolved to any of the previous working version, thereby saving hug effects, right? But in the scope of, means disadvantage of Git used to, right, used to GitHub is a very advantage, very much advantage, right? So due to a well established version control system that support for the collaborating working process, right? So suppose first is a Git repository, means server side, right? Server side, and you are send the data to direct push to the through the remote on a server page. So there are multiple developers, right, connect to the Git repository. So Git has widely populated with not just among the software developer, but also among the people who do the work task documentation of any collaborative work. If can seem challenging at first, but once we get hang of the Git, we find that it make our life much spinner. It is amazing branching system that support non-linear development along with the keeping the developers accountable for their code. This help is making development process efficient and the faster, right? This one. Okay, move to the another question. Another question is, what do you understand by the term version control system, VCS? A full form the VCS. So generally there are two VCS system, means centralized version of control system, right, and the distributed version of VCS. right? With the centralized control system and distributed control system. So they are connected to the repository. Commit, update, working copy means local PC. Okay, local PC. Then in a distributed system, right? Is there are multiple repository. Okay, but main repository is one on server side. Then same process, commit, updated, PC1 means local repository, right? Local repository to connect to the repository, and then final repository direct push to the on a through the remote repository. In a term of version control is the management of changes, documents, computers, programs, large website, and other collection of what information. So let's talk about centralized version control system. Centralized control system means a centralized control system use a central server to store all files and enable team collaboration. It's work on a single repository too, which users can directly access a central servers. Means each log are saved. Suppose I am developer and just I am access to the central servers, so log are generated. So refer, right? The repository in above diagram, right? Above the diagram indicate a central server, right? That could be local or remote, which is directly connected to each of the program's workstation. Workstation means what? Local repository. Every programmer can exec or update their workstation with the data present in the repository, or can make changes to the data or commit in the repository. Every operation is performed directly on the repository. Even though it seems pretty convenient to maintain a single repository, it's some like it is a local available, meaning you always need to be connected to the network perform any actions. Maybe network disconnected. Since everything is centralized, if any case of the central server getting crash or corrupt will result is loss entire data of the project. So it's a drawback, right? But in a distributed system is correct, right? To necessary rely in the central servers to store all the version of profile file. In distributed control system, every contributor has a local copy or clone. Clone means duplicate of the main repository. Either everyone maintain a local repository of their own which contain all the file and metadata present in the main repository, right? So in a main repository, as you've seen, means they can update the local repository with the new data from the central server by an operation called pull, and affect changes to the main repository by a operation called the push their local repository as act of clone an entire repository into workstation to get a local repository. Give there are some advantage for the distributed system. All operation except push and pull are every fast because their tools only need to be access the hard drive, not a remote servers. Hence, you do not always need an internet connection. Okay, so Committing new changes set can be done locally without manipulating the data on the main repository. We once you have a group of changes set ready, you can push them all at a once. Since every distributor has a full copy of the project repository, they can share changes with one another if they want to get some feedback before affecting changes in the main repository. If the central server get a crash at the point of time, the lost data can be easily recovered of any one contribution can local repository. Right. So it's very it's important to the distributed server. Another question is, what is the process to revert a commit that has already been pushed and made up public? It's a very most important question, right? So there are two process through which you can report a commit, like remove or fix the bad file in a new commit and push it to the remote repository, then commit it is a remote repository using git commit. Use to the git commit and commit message use this file, right? Another is create a new commit to undo all the changes that were made in the bad commit. Use the following command, like this one, means commit id, just use commit id, that's it. Another question is, what does git clone do? Git clone allows you to create a local copy of the remote GitHub repository. Once you clone a repo, you can make edit locally in your system rather than directly in the source file of the remote repository. What is Git stash? Let's say you are a developer and you want to switch branches to work on sometime else. The issue is you don't want to make commits in incomplete work, so you just want to get back to this point later. The solution here is the Git stash. Git stash takes your modified track file and save it on the stack of unfinished changes that you can reapply at any time. To go back the work, you can use the slash pop. Use to the slash pop. Another question is, explain the different points when a merge can enter conflicted states. There are two states when a merge can enter a conflicted stage. Starting the merge process, if there are changes in the working directory of the stage area in the current project, the merge will fail to start. In this case, conflict happen due to pending changes that need to be stabilized using different git points. During the merge process, the failure during the merge process indicate that there is a conflict between the local branches and the branch began merge. In the case, git resolve as much as possible, but something have to be fixed manually in the conflict files. Another question is, what is the command used to delete a branch? To delete a branch, we can simply use the command git branch id, means head. To delete a branch locally, we can simply run the command git branch dash id is a local, this one, okay, local branch name. Another method is to delete a branch remotely, run the command git push origin delete remote branch name. Delete a branch scenario occurs to multiple regions. One such region is to get rid of the future branches once it has been merged into the developer branch mode. Another question is, what is the difference between Git and GitHubs? Very simple and very important question for interview point of view. Git is a distributed version control tools that developer install a local machine and they use to track commit history, merge file, and share code with fellow developers. In the comparison, GitHub is a cloud-based source code repository built around the Git tools, along with the providing a central location from the Git users can push and pull code. GitHub also add a variety of services and features that are not native to Git, such as forking, user measurement, online editing, branches protection. Git is maintained by the Linux Foundation, while GitHub was acquired by Microsoft. Git completes Git of other version control tools such as Subversion and Mercurius. GitHub competes with GitLab's Atlassian, Bitbucket, and other SSA-based service. Candidate being asked to GitHub interview to tools different between online and Git tools will be proper banner. Opportunity case rise. Name two Git commands that are not supported by the GitHub's desktop. Means question is what is the name? There are two names. Means the GitHub desktop app is designed primarily to simple the most common used function. It is used base Git command such as init, add, commit, push, pull, fetch. It does not currently have support for more advanced Git capabilities, including the revert and means cherry pick commands. It should be noted that the GitHub desktop app enable a developer to open terminal window and lets developer manually issue Git commands such as reset and cherry pickup. There are two commands you not supported. This one, revert and pickup. Another question is what for state can be applied to be commit using the Git status API. Just because a Git commit proceeded without conflict doesn't means the code is question compile, nor does it is guarantee that any unit or integration test pass, such as GitHub Status API enable you to mark commit with one of the four status: error, first step, error, failure, pending, or success. The GitHub Status API is often used by CI tools that merge topics branch into features branches, and when pushed then newly generated commit on the feature branch back to the GitHub. It is possible to configure branch protection rules to inspect the incoming commit status and reject the push if it is flagged as anything but a success. Another question is what is the GitHub interaction limit? Towards the end of the development sprint, with the time running out and developer anonymous about getting agile points on the scrum board, temperature in the office can rise, but if developer need to be cool off for a while, organization can place interaction limits on a given repository. They will restrict who can commit, create open issue, and create pull request for a 24 hours period or until the GitHub interaction limits are resonated. Whichever comes first, the interaction limits can be configured in the three different way. Place GitHub interaction limits only on new users. Place a GitHub interaction limit on people who have never made a commit, or place a GitHub interaction limits on all users who do not have push access to the repository. Another question is explain how you can help to reduce the risk of script injection. there are several approaches ready to support you to reduce the risk of script injection. Using an action rather than an inline script recommended, the suggested solution is to create an action which processes the context value and argument using an intermediate environment variable. The best approach for handling untrusted input in line script is to set the value of the expression into an intermediate environment variable. Best is used in the following example to process the github.event.put request title value and environmental variable. Another question is explain different git commands. Git add a file connect to be index. Git commit means read git's commits means record change to the repository. Pull means fetch from and integrate with another repository or a local branches. Git push means update remote refer along with the associated object. Git init means create and import a Git repository, reinitialize an existing ones. Clone means clone a repository into a new dictionary directory. What is another question is what is difference between git pull and git fetch? Git pull command pull a new change or commit from a particular branches from your central repository and updates your target branch in your local repository. Git fetch is also used for the same purpose, but it works in a slightly different way. When you perform a git fetch, it pulls all new commits from the desired branch and store it in a new branch in your local repository. If you want to reflect these changes in your target branch, git fetch must be followed with a git merge. Your target branch will only be updated after merging the target branch and fetched branch. Just to make it easy for you, remember the education below. Like git pull means git fetch plus git merge. So in a git pull, both package means fetch and merge is equal to git pull. Another question is what is difference between git remote and git clone? Git remote add create an entry in your git configure that specifies a name for a particular URL. Git clone create a new git repository by copying an existing one's located at the URL. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe this video. Thank you so much.